Hello, this is the Enthusiast for CollectionDX. This is the second part of my review of the Soul of Chogokin Danguard Ace. Let's take a look at his transformation. Now before I get into the transformation, just a little bit of background on transforming robots. One of the things that made the Transformers really great was that those characters were conceived of as toys and only later became cartoons. Now the super robots of the 70s were different in that they were primarily conceived of as cartoons, and then later they kind of backed into the toys once they were licensed. So a lot of the stuff that happened on screen with the super robots, particularly with the transforming characters, a lot of it was anime magic and didn't necessarily translate easily into reality. So Popey had a real challenge, and those challenges still persist even in modern engineering. So keep that in mind as we transform this guy. So I've made a couple of changes since the last segment, one of which is that I swapped out his helmet with the more articulated unfolding version, which kind of becomes a ship that will later dock with the larger ship. I've also swapped his chest piece back with the landing gear version. Now first thing we want to do is separate his upper and lower halves. There's a button on the back which does that easily. They kind of fall apart easily to begin with, but the button definitely helps. So for his top half, the first thing we're going to do is depress his head, which clicks down into his chest cavity. His arms will fold up also into cavities in his chest, like so. It's pretty smooth. And then his shoulders will collapse a little bit to be more snug. So this is what you want to see. Let's go ahead and unfold his landing gear. And then his chest panels nicely cover that, so it's a nice detail. They're kind of hard to get to collapse just right. Okay, so that will be the lower half of the spaceship. Let's set him aside. Now for his legs, the first thing we're going to do is pull out what will become the cockpit. It's kind of hard to get a grip on him. But once you pull him out, you can fold down this tab, and then that helmet ship will slide right in there, and then that becomes the cockpit. This piece actually comes with this, it's hard to tell, but it's a clear spacer. And that clear spacer is intended to keep his thighs from coming too close together. I think it's probably not necessary after transforming it a few times, but we'll just put it in there anyway. His legs will clip together. There's a post and a tab here that will click his feet and legs together. His feet will then rotate up like so, and you start to see the ship taking shape. A couple of wings fold up. And he's ready to combine with the lower half. Now the lower half on what used to be his back has these two panels, which clips that come up here. And those clips will insert into these grooves. So we do that, click these in, and it all clicks together very solidly. It's a very sturdy, solid connection there. Now what you're going to notice is that these landing gear kind of looks small and weak, and the whole thing collapses backwards because it's not balanced. Now, and this is in keeping with the classic DX figure as well, and maybe in the anime for all I know. But there's these panels that fold out here where these wheels, extended wheels, will flip out like so. To support the back end of that. So it's kind of a, it's an unusual looking, kind of funky 70s ship. But I like it. It's kind of neat. Now Bandai has also included the smaller two-part stand to help hold up the rear of this. So you kind of push that in there. I think it's a little overkill. I think it's probably a bit much, but you know, it's kind of a 70s flair to it. So the ship itself is kind of nice, a little weird, but it's probably about as good as we're going to get with, you know, even with modern engineering to replicating the animated version of this ship. Heavy again, all holds together pretty well. So what I'm going to do now is fold up the landing gear, because I want to put him on the stand and show you what he does on his stand. Oh, one more thing before I forget. This is a nice detail which kind of demonstrates Bandai's OCD tendencies, which is really kind of a nice, thoughtful detail. You'll notice that when you folded these feet up, these thrusters here are empty. Well, there's actually these little panels here, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but right here, and they've included, thoughtfully, this little stick to poke those out, which will then fill up those gaps. So it's a really nice detail. Fold these back, fold up these landing gear, and then he will fit nicely on this stand. It's a really good display piece. His wings tend to get a little wonky, but just a really nice display piece there, as you can see. So like I said, he has two modes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second mode, which is the more clean spaceship mode. The first thing we're going to do is take off this old landing gear panel, and then they've included this larger, more sturdy, balanced platform here, and the panels fit over it again, as so. And you can see right away, huge improvement. Looks better just in terms of proportion, and it actually holds itself up without folding out those smaller wheels and putting another little buttress there. So, huge improvement. I really like that. Now, the second thing we're going to do is I might have to back out here and yank these off again. Well, let's just unclip the bottom. You can actually pull off what used to be his arms pretty easily. And then they've also included an infill piece, so you can go back and fill the void left in his chest. And then once we put this all together again, clip it back to the ship. Put these back. A cleaner presentation, a little bit slicker. See there? It all looks a little bit more refined than the other version. So really nice. Like, yeah, a little strange, a little bit ungainly, but I think that's part of the charm. I think it's been realized pretty well. So, the only other items here I'd like to even discuss involve some ships. So it comes with a small, I think this is the Sky Arrow. You can see here, which was released in its own Popinica version. It's a nice, really nicely detailed little piece. It's really pretty. And then it comes apart just like the original. You can pull off this front ship here. And then there's this nice detail where the cockpit here folds down. So just a really cool, detailed piece. Also, by way of ships, this is the more simpler helmet, if you recall, from the first segment. Well, he accepts, there's another included piece which is kind of a, just fills out that rocket, or that component. Oh, I guess maybe I'm wrong. I guess maybe he fits on this other piece. And here there he fits. So he plugs into the back of this piece, so it becomes like a nice little independent ship. You know, a little fiddly. I don't really care about that sort of thing. But altogether, a really nice set. I would say I totally recommend it. It has a great price point. The design is impeccable. Everything works. This stand here, I don't really want to get into it because I think it might bore a lot of you, but this stand here actually contains every piece that you've seen will fit on this stand. Maybe I'll do a jump cut here and I'll put everything on the stand so you can see it. So stick around from that. So here's one final look of the figure, fully on its base. And I just wanted to show you this base because it's kind of a thing of beauty and an engineering achievement on its own. Oh, one quick note. Earlier I kind of bumbled through this ship conversion. Actually, the planar ship is actually the appropriate one to fit that hind piece into. And it actually has these kind of neat retractable landing gear. They're kind of adorable here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just kind of a neat little figure. And that clicks on here. But the cool thing about this stand is, and they've been getting better with this as each release goes on, is that everything in the entire set can be contained on this stand. Which is really fantastic. I mean, it displays well, you see everything there. It's all composed really nicely. And I just want to show you here, if you take off Danguard, everything's on here, and it will all, maybe these little spear pieces will fall off, but it's all on there perfectly. See that? And then underneath, all the other pieces tuck, even the little stick. You remember the little stick we poked out those panels with? The stick has its own space. The arms can go in here if you're displaying it in spaceship mode. A little leg spacer. I mean, everything is so neatly, tightly composed. It's just one more indication that these guys are very, very serious about what they do, and that this is just a top-notch product. So in summary, it's great. Pick one up. It's beautiful. Thank you. This is the Enthusiast for CollectionDX.